I've hit a landmark that absolutely no one knew about, so I've decided to give a review that absolutely no one asked for. A few months ago, I got an email telling me that I had just hit a milestone of 1,000 Huels. Now, I had no idea how long I had been subscribed to Huel for, so the email was pretty surprising. I guess it's just another one of those things you subscribe to until eventually your ex tries to log on to your account and then you remember to change the password. Welcome back to my channel of stuff where, just like all the other things in your life, you probably don't need it. Speaking of things you don't need in your life, ads. See, I saw Huel from ads and I wondered how well it worked. What's that, ads? Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Today's video is sponsored by... Hello? What do you mean I don't have any? I'm not sponsored? Oh. Huh. Well, I guess I can just make this a segment in the video where I just waste your time so this feels like any other YouTube content that you watch anyway. So no, this video isn't sponsored, and I don't really have any incentive to recommend Huel. I just felt like writing them a review because I got a free shirt after drinking 1,000 of their products. So I guess you could say it worked because I've been drinking their product for about 2 years now and I've hit 1,000, so today I'll be specifically talking about Huel Black Edition, the protein powder, and the protein bars, because that's the stuff that I consumed over the past couple of years. For those of you who don't know what Huel is, I'll give you a brief description, but I'll also put up a screenshot because you probably don't want to go Google it. I'll just tell you. It's a little informal, but my interpretation of Huel is pretty much a vegan meal substitution that's supposed to have a bunch of vitamins and minerals with a high amount of protein, low carbs, at a low price. The best part is you don't even need a blender, you can just throw it into a bottle, shake it up, and it's good to go. Essentially, it's for people that feel like doing the least amount of work possible for the most amount of nutrition. With a description like that, you're looking at their targeted audience. You see, a couple of years ago, I was considered skinny fat. I weighed 152 pounds, but I had a 23.8% body fat percentage. At 5'5", I'm Filipino. Not only does that indicate that I had an excess amount of fat, but that also indicated that I was 7 inches away from being legally attractive. Now, I decided to sign up for a gym, but the thing is, I am so lazy. If I signed up for a gym, I didn't want to have to cook or learn how to cook and look up recipes. I didn't want to use a blender and clean it every time I wanted to make a protein shake. I already signed up for a gym, what more do you want from me? So that's when I started looking up easy meals or meal substitutions. I found things like Soylent, and I also stumbled across Huel. After seeing that Huel had a lot of protein and low carb ratio, and I also saw that I could just shake it and I didn't actually need to put it in a blender, I was pretty sold. I didn't even have to buy a bottle because they kind of just give one to you. Essentially, I was so lazy, I picked a service that offered a powdered mixed drink and a bottle that goes straight to your mouth. Goo goo gaga. So if I didn't take the traditional route of slurping down chocolate-looking sawdust and boiled grass clippings, did I see results? Well, I guess. You see, any fitness guru will tell you the same thing. As long as you're burning more calories than you're consuming, you're gonna see results. I mean, I've heard that so many times when I've looked up videos that it gets kind of tiring to hear. They might as well just put it in the title of the video so I don't have to spend 10 minutes staring at their chiseled abs, thinking that they could probably grate cheese on those things. So with a block of cheese and a dream, I started going to the gym. I would drink Huel for lunch, and for dinner, I would eat fish from a box, and I would just have to bake it from a toaster oven, and I would pair it with an avocado. Just something really simple. I would intermittently also snack on things like granola and oats, or maybe even some jerky if I felt like it. And it definitely worked for the first few months, and it was right in the middle of the holiday season, so I had some holiday battles that I had to get through. And I would go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week for about an hour session each, and my meals were kind of a rinse and repeat kind of deal. And if you're wondering how I'm keeping track of my progress, I would try to do an in-body scan every month or so to make sure that I was making good progress. Now, these same fitness gurus that gave you advice earlier will tell you that yes, it's easy in the beginning, but towards the middle you will slow down because your results will kind of stagnate. It's not as easy anymore, and they were right because I certainly hit a plateau. Gone was the vision of telephone pole-sized biceps and chiseled chins so defined that I could cut diamonds with them. It was at this point of time that I decided to switch to just drinking Huel products and eating the Huel protein bars. The happy and bonus consequence of this is that I spent less time shopping for groceries and less time baking my fish, so I saved a little more time doing all of that. I also figured that my snacking might have been a little excessive, and I decided to just cut most of that out and stick to only Huel. To give you an idea, a serving of Huel with protein powder mixed in and a protein bar comes out to 700 calories and 80 grams of protein. I found that the density Huel offered helped me hit my protein intake while keeping my calorie deficit pretty high. A final Huel for dinner tops me off, and I had sufficient macros with a large calorie deficit. A few months later, after switching to just Huel, I hit a body fat percentage of 13.7%. Now, was I ripped? No. Did I see any results? Not really. You see, I was skinny fat, so I more or less burned away fat while also building muscle, as you can see from my results. And the thing is, most people would say that that's the best thing, that's ideal. Thing is, I didn't have prior hulking muscles before I even started working out, so burning that excess fat only really revealed kind of what I already had. And if you're looking for exercise tips, I'm not the guy. This is just what I learned from other fitness gurus, so I recommend watching their channels, some really cool ones that I like, Jeremy Ethier and Jeff Nippard. It's not like I feel these results either, because I sit a lot for work. It's not like I sit more efficiently with my newfound core strength, and I certainly don't smash my keyboard with extra force due to my bulging biceps. The only difference that I could see was from the in-body scans, which at least gave me assurance mentally that I was definitely progressing. However, around this time, I got a new job at a startup which demanded much more of my time, so I decided to stop going to the gym as much, and I switched to exercising about 3 times a week, and it's strictly maintenance at this point. I think I look pretty full, and not necessarily skinny fat anymore, but of course, I'll let you guys be the judge of that. So let's get into what I like and what I dislike about Huel. It's just so practical. That's the biggest factor for me. It has excellent macro, and the serving is easy to keep track of, so if you're really into fitness, that's a big bonus. I know I didn't touch on it much, but I think it genuinely tastes pretty good. I love sweets, and Huel has a really good amount of sweetness, and it's really filling. It's kind of like drinking a milkshake. The best part is I only need to use water, and it still tastes pretty good. I imagine it would be a lot more dense if you use something like milk, and it would really be a treat every single time you drink it. And sometimes I mix and match different flavored Huels with different flavored protein powders. Who says I wasn't a chef? Oh, I did? It's really easy to clean the bottle. It's fast to make. It's convenient to store. It's economically cheaper than a regular meal, which means there's less trips to the grocery as well. There's also no need for me to look up recipes on how to cook certain things and scroll through paragraphs of why boiled chicken and broccoli is special to them. And now let's kick it over to the cons. Now this is a powder, and powders are messy. It will get everywhere. I'm constantly having to vacuum or wipe off counters whenever I'm preparing my Huel, so if you're in different places like at work, you have to be careful where you prepare your Huel because it will get everywhere. Even though they gave me a bottle, I feel like it doesn't mix very well with the amount of water that they recommend, and I ended up buying a slightly bigger blender bottle to help me with that issue. I do like the mesh that they provide in their blender bottles because it prevents giant clumps from getting into your mouth. Which brings us to the next con. I would often get giant chunks of unmixed Huel in my drink, which would often clog the outlet, which means I couldn't really get any Huel, or I would get giant clumps of powder in my mouth and I would just have to chew the Huel. This is especially an issue if you put the powder in first, and oftentimes it'll just form this barrier on the bottom, so when you're done drinking your Huel, you'll notice that there's a massive clump of unmixed Huel, which means you probably didn't get all the nutrition that you were supposed to in a single drink, and it's very annoying. I found a way to mitigate this was to put a little bit of water first so that doesn't happen, and then add your scoops of Huel and protein powder, and then top it off with a lot more water. And finally, the bars kind of taste like if I melted some chocolate on the local asphalt and then took a chunk out of it. Now, to be fair, most protein bars taste pretty awful. I did find that their peanut butter one tastes almost bearable, but if you wait too long to eat them, the peanut butter kind of gets stale and then it's pretty gross afterwards. So, is it worth getting? Hell yeah. A lot of the cons can be mitigated, and they're just inherent properties of powder-based drinks anyway. Huel has a lot of benefits, and the best part is it's really practical. No matter what your goal is, if it's losing weight, maintaining your weight, or if you just want something quick and easy to make. And to be clear, yeah, for the last few months when I was exercising, I only had Huel products. I had their Huel Black Edition, their Huel Protein Powder, and their Huel Protein Bars. Now, I'm no health expert, I'm just some dude on the internet that got a free shirt and decided to make a video, so if you want to do something similar, I'm checking with a health expert. Exercise caution if you plan on doing something similar. For example, I've read somewhere that some of the ingredients they use are a little tough on people with sensitive stomachs. Also, remember to drink it slowly. Don't consume your Huel drink and your protein bar in quick succession, or else you'll have to wear a gas mask while you lay in bed for fear of overdosing from a Dutch oven. Now, sometimes I would find myself craving something salty because perhaps I wasn't getting sufficient sodium. I have experienced intermittently fasting, and I've also fasted for 5 days, so I know that getting sodium is really important. Now, I've personally lived off of just Huel, and I still drink it to this day. I've seen really good results, and Honestly, I'm really lazy. I probably didn't try very hard at the gym, or at least not as hard as I could have, and I went maybe 4 to 5 times a week for about an hour each. So I feel that most people can see the same results, if not better than what I did. I cut 10% of my body fat percentage, which is huge. Given how practical Huel is and how lazy I am, it is the perfect combination. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have more Huels to drink because I plan on hitting their next milestone and getting another free t-shirt, and I really don't feel like doing my laundry. Thanks, Huel. So wherever you are in the big wide world, thanks for watching. Have a good morning, good afternoon, and good night.